go. So I think that's doing the job. So just to repeat, my name's Emma. It's the start of National Apprenticeships Week. So we are delivering a presentation to you this morning just to give you a bit of an overview of how apprenticeships work, talk to you a little bit about our processes. And if there are any questions, please do either raise a hand or pop a note into the text box or the chat box. We can keep an eye on that for you and answer any questions for you. So I'm just going to attempt to share my screen. So bear with me and hopefully you will be able to see all of this. So can I just have a nod from or a yes from someone that you can see my screen, just so I know that that's come through? Can anyone give me a yes? Can you hear that screen? Can you see that screen? Sorry, or still hear me?
Yep, can see you and hear you.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so this is the presentation for you. So your passion, your path, talking about apprenticeships. It's just a little video for you. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that for us. So we've just got a few kind of, I suppose, key stats for you to start the presentation off. So when we talk about apprenticeships with Walsall College, it's very much to make sure you understand that this is talking about our provision this morning. So Walsall College are one of the largest providers of the 16 to 18 apprenticeship programme in the West Midlands, and we're currently working with over 800 employers. So whether that's that we've got students out in the workplace already on apprenticeship programs, or if it's businesses that we're engaging with to try and start up new opportunities. There's lots and lots of businesses local to Walsall, so it might be Walsall, Wolverhampton, Birmingham. We go out to Telford and Shrewsbury, so lots of different employers over quite a broad geographical area. We have got some of the other stats on there for you as well, because we don't want to have anybody thinking that an apprenticeship doesn't qualify as full-time education. So sometimes there might be different barriers based for individuals on why they think they can't do an apprenticeship. So some people might think, I can't get to a business, I can't get to where that employer is based. So you can see top left, there are free bus passes available to full-time students, obviously subject to eligibility. But that is something that you would qualify for as an apprentice because of being a full-time student. So just as I say, a few other kind of key stats that our marketing team have pulled out for us as part of this presentation. So this is just a bit of a guide and a walkthrough for you. We've got different campuses here at Walsall. So if any of you are potentially thinking that this might be somewhere that you're coming to as your next step, this just gives you a virtual look at how our campuses look, so that you've got an idea of where it is that you would be coming to, and you can select different rooms through each campus so that you've got a real idea of where it is you would be based and the workstations that you would be in. So you can see there, that's our P&D, painting and decorating, at our Green Lane campus. So you've got an idea of the facilities that we've got, and you can do yourselves kind of virtual walkthroughs on all of the campuses. Certainly for me, I don't know how this works for some of you, but certainly for me, I find it really useful that you've got an idea visually of where it is you're going for, so that you know what else to look out for. So you can see there across all of our sites, it just gives you that option of those walkthroughs. So Digital and Engineering Skills Centre, again, selecting just off the icon drop downs, and you can see exactly what's what. Wisemore campus, that's where I am at the moment. So this is our main atrium. That's my current view if I look to my left. So you can see we've got plenty of classrooms, plenty of facilities there for you to have a look through as part of that drop down as well. Um, and we will talk to you about open days where you can come in and see us face to face as well. So I'm just going to skip through past this now. So hopefully you've all heard of apprenticeships before. For those of you that haven't, that's absolutely fine. Essentially, it is work-based learning. And where it says you spend 80% of your time at work, 20% of your time studying topics related to your job. So that's the general rule. So if we look at a 5-day working week, you would have 4 days a week with a business, and you would have 1 day a week with college. So in this instance, with us at Walsall College. Now, that is, as I say, a general rule. It very much depends on which apprenticeship it is that you are looking to study on, and how that is structured. And also whether that 20%, that 1 day, is with us face to face at the college, or whether that is delivered on a virtual basis. So, for all of its negative impact, COVID has given training providers and colleges a real opportunity to look at the delivery of certain programs. So there are some programs that still remain as a virtual delivery, like what we're doing this morning on Teams. And again, hopefully it goes without saying that you would be assessed on your progress and your work within the workplace, and whilst you're with us as part of your college day. Now, lots of people might ask, why would an apprenticeship be right for me? If you know what it is that you're wanting to do, so if, for example, you know that your end goal is to work as a dental nurse, we have a level 3, so an advanced dental apprenticeship standard, where you could come and study within a practice 4 days a week and have 1 day a week with us. So you are gaining your hands-on practical learning within the practice, and then having the 1 day a week with us to gain that recognised qualification. So if you've already got that pathway in mind, think about whether the apprenticeship provision allows for that for you to develop that industry experience at the same time as developing your learning. Some of you might have reached the kind of end of your enjoyment of classroom-based learning. So you might feel a little bit like you've got itchy feet and you want to get out and try something different, whether that's college or potentially looking at apprenticeships where you are more practical in terms of the work that you're doing. And the bottom point there, earning a wage while you study. So we will talk about the apprenticeship minimum wages as we go through the presentation. But again, it goes without saying, you're not paid to be at school, nor are you paid to be a full-time college student, but you are paid to be an apprentice. So this is the current apprenticeship provision at Walsall College. This is an ever-changing provision, because we very carefully plan our offer based on what opportunities are available for employment in the local area. So we work closely with local businesses to understand what the demand is in terms of job opportunities, to make sure that the curriculum matches. Now, if you're seeing something here that is of interest to you, then fantastic. And again, we will talk to you about opportunities of how to speak with us directly and how to come and visit the college so that we can explore these opportunities with you. If you were hoping to see something here and you're not seeing it, please don't be deterred. As I mentioned, this is the Walsall College offer. This is not the national apprenticeship offer. So there are lots and lots of other training providers, whether that's independent or other colleges, that will have a lot of crossover, but will also offer programs that we don't. So if there's anything, like I say, that you're not seeing here that you were hoping to, please don't see that as a reason not to reach out to us. We can still look at supporting and signposting to other providers where we're not in a position to. A lot of these programs also offer progressions as well. So we've got pharmacy services on there that could lead to pharmacy technician. We've got accounts that I believe we offer at level 2 and level 3. So there are opportunities for development within our provision as well. So how does an apprenticeship work? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the processes here at Walsall College. These processes will vary between providers. So it would be a case of just understanding those processes when you speak to somebody like me, for example. But we start with an initial assessment. So before you start an apprenticeship, we have to make sure that you are um, meeting the basic criterias for that apprenticeship program. And again, that will vary per program. So before you start, you'll do initial assessments with us in both English and maths. That includes individuals that have their GCSEs. So if you are already grade 4 and above, that's fantastic and well done to those of you that have. So that means that there would be no need for you to complete functional skills as part of your apprenticeship training, but you would still need to complete the initial assessments with us so we can look at where there are potentially any gaps in learning and we can then look to support you effectively. The initial assessment also involves, in the case of Walsall College, an interview with us. So we are your first stage interview, we are your initial screen, and we are really looking for a number of different things through this interview for you, both in terms of the content of the interview and the research and preparation that you've done, but also the delivery of that interview. So we're looking for you to come to see us with an up-to-date CV, hopefully with a little bit of work experience. Whether that's in the industry that you're applying for or not doesn't matter, but hopefully a little bit of work experience, whether that's paid or unpaid. So think about how you could start to generate opportunities for yourself in doing that. We will look at, obviously, English and maths. We will look at your ability to talk to us about the job role it is that you've applied for. So we won't ask that you know how to do the job. That's the point of the apprenticeship. We will teach you to do that, but we do ask that you demonstrate an understanding of what a day would look like if you are studying as an apprentice. We want to know about you as an individual. So we want to know what your strengths are. We want to know what your areas of development are, what you've identified. I don't like the word, but potentially as a weakness. So something you want to improve through the apprenticeship program. That level of conversation and engagement with us in a professional manner gives us an indication of whether an interview with a prospective employer would be a positive experience for you. So it's really important that if you get first stage interviews, see that as your opportunity to demonstrate why you would be good to sit in front of an employer and therefore give yourself the opportunity of securing the role. Now, through any apprenticeship standard, you will have to develop knowledge, skills, and behaviours. And that is demonstrated at the end of the apprenticeship programme through what's called an endpoint assessment. And that does exactly what it says on the tin. It's an assessment at the end of the apprenticeship programme, essentially to make sure that you are competent, you've met criteria, and can be signed off from that programme. If you are on programme, you will have an allocated vocational coach from Walsall College. So you will be fully versed in the expectations of that assessment. It can take various forms depending on the programme that you're on. So whether it's a professional discussion, an observation of you in the workplace, it could be a look at the work that you've done through your e-portfolio. Your vocational coach will work with you to make sure that that assessment is likely to bring a successful outcome for you. And that is also paired with something called off-the-job training. Now, that used to be the 20% that we've talked about. Essentially, that is now a blanket 6 hours per week, and it's time spent doing tasks that are directly related and relevant to your job role, but that do not form part of your core working duties day to day. You can see there it says this training is part of your normal contracted working hours. So it's 6 hours within that working week. We're not asking you to work full time and then do an apprenticeship, then do your off the job training on top of that. So any apprenticeship, typically, you're looking at 30 to 40 hours per week, so full time, and those 6 hours of off the job training included within that. Now, I don't know if you've had conversations perhaps with tutors or teachers. You may be looking with meetings with careers advisors. That top website, so apprenticeships.gov.uk, that is the website that we would direct you to look nationally at what apprenticeships are available to you. So as I've mentioned, lots and lots of training providers and other colleges have apprenticeship provision and apprenticeship programs available. That is the go-to for all providers to advertise their vacancies. So you will not just see Walsall College on there. If you were to go to our website, that's where you'll start to see just the Walsall College vacancies. So if you've decided that you want to be a student of the college here, then fantastic. We direct to the bottom link. My advice is always to look at the broader provision, just in case we don't have vacancies that are what you're looking for in terms of subject area, or if geographically we haven't got anything available as well. Now, if you are already employed, we want you to have a think about how you can then look at generating your own apprenticeship opportunities. So if, for example, you are working in a privately owned let's say retail environment, you're in a clothes shop maybe, and you think, I would like to get a qualification while I'm here. I'm already working here. Let's open a conversation with my manager and see if I could potentially look at something like a customer service apprenticeship, a level 2. Have a think about opening up those conversations, because that is the hard work done then. You've already got the placement itself. So think about approaching them. Again, it is important that as an apprentice, you understand that there is no cost to you as the student. So where it says there, apprenticeship training won't cost your employer, it never costs you. But if you guys fall in the 16 to 18 category, it will not cost that employer as well, provided they're not a levy employer. So cost implications, we can always talk that through with a prospective employer for you. You can see on the right hand side there, we're talking about minimum wages. So apprenticeship minimum wage is currently £4.81, which I believe is the current national minimum for a 16 or 17-year-old. That is due to increase in April, and that's going up to £5.28 per hour. So just a bit of an increase for you. On average, we say about £200 per week for an apprentice, but it is worth noting that some employers can and do pay more. They're not obliged to. So what I say to everybody that I meet, assume those minimum rates, and then anything else is a bonus on top of that for you. So entry requirements. Typically, and I do want to emphasize typically, the grade 4 is what we're looking for both English and maths. But there are some of our apprenticeship programs where we can accept the grade 3, and we would need to kind of have discussions with you on a one-to-one basis based on what your application is for and where your grades currently sit. If you're coming out with 1s and 2s, for English and maths, they would need addressing before we look at an apprenticeship program for you. And we can support you with doing that. But if I can emphasize anything when it comes to exam season, English and maths grade 4, they're the biggies that we will look for. If you do not meet criteria, again, please don't think that we won't be interested in a conversation with you. That's absolutely not the case. We will work with you to support you and provide options as to what you can do to make sure that we're getting those English and maths to where they need to be, so you can then start on the pathway that you want to with regard to your training. But please don't see that as a reason to not come and talk to us at college, or not talk to tutors within a sixth form department. Whatever it is that you're thinking is your next stage, just keep a dialogue open with the respective staff or representatives so that they can support you effectively. Now, these are some of the highlights that our marketing team have pulled out as to reasons why to do an apprenticeship. The big thing for me when I've been talking to prospective applicants and prospective apprentices recently is on the top line, you can see it says make your CV stand out. Now, an apprenticeship might not be for everybody on this call, and that is absolutely fine. But what we want to make sure that you understand that an apprenticeship is essentially a job. It's full-time training and full-time learning, but it is essentially still a job. And all of you will need jobs in the future. You might want to own your own home. You might want to, I don't know, go traveling, and you're going to need money for that. In order to get money, you're going to need to work. Your CV will be against hundreds of other CVs of other people also looking for work. So an apprenticeship is a really great way to make your CV, make your application stand out. It's demonstrating that you've got practical industry-based experience along with recognised qualifications. Okay, as you can see just to the left of that, gaining nationally recognised qualifications. So it is important that you think what you're doing now will inevitably have an impact on the future version of you. So it's doing something to support that person rather than kind of, I suppose, figuring things out further down the line. Have a think about what you can do now to be effective to support you later on. It's also really flexible. So depending on the work that you're in or the sector that you're working in, some of it might be that you're doing shifts. So you might do, rather than like we're doing this morning, it was a 8:30 start, you might do a 10 o'clock start. So do like a 10 till 6 shift or an 11 till 7 shift. For those of you that are not early birds, that might suit you perfectly. So it's just to think about what you can do with regard to an apprenticeship that suits you as an individual and suits your traits. Where it says receiving tailored support as well, so you will have allocated coaches from the college that see you one-to-one in the workplace, and you'd also meet with tutors that are delivering your weekly sessions as well.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm a display technician completing a intermediate in apprenticeship in sign making. This includes a level 2 NVQ diploma in sign making, as well as functional skills for central thinking. Meet a lot of people, which has helped boost my confidence. I'm traveling and carrying out work alone, communicating to the necessary people, complete my work confidently. Apprenticeship overall was a really good career start. It not only offers you job security, but you gain qualifications and skills in work and for yourself.
My name's Trish. I'm doing an apprenticeship with the Beacon Housing Group. Being an apprentice in construction is great. It's a really hands-on job. You get really engaged, really involved. It's really good being able to step back and see what you've achieved in a day. To physically really see what you've done. It's brilliant. An apprenticeship's an ideal way to get on-the-job experience and you're working towards your qualification as well.
Okay, so that's just hearing from a couple of our students and why the programme works for them with what they're doing, which is great to hear. So this is just a bit of a roundup for you. So again, we've got those two links as part of that top bullet point for the college website and the National Apprenticeships service on gov.uk. Where it says on the third bullet point that entry requirements are determined by the employer, but guidelines are available on our website. So this is more in terms of, I suppose, the nitty gritty. So when we've talked already about English and maths and the grade 4, those entry criteria are set for us. So we have to abide by those. But if, for example, we've got pharmacy technician programs, so some level 3 programs, the pharmacy tech might say to us, we need specifically a level 2 in pharmacy. It's a non-negotiable for us. The person that goes on to a level 3 must hold a level 2. There are some level 3 employers that don't require that. So we will work on specific requirements determined by the employer in that respect. We might also have to look at their person specification. So as part of any advert that you'll see a job description and you'll see a person specification. The person spec might say something like, we need someone that is determined. We need somebody that is hardworking. We're looking for someone with customer service skills. We're looking for somebody that can follow instruction well. So whenever you are applying for job roles, have a think about the wording used in a person's specification and how you can start to integrate that into your application as well. It is also worth just noting that fourth bullet point that some apprenticeships start throughout the year. So lots of people might think that apprenticeships are just September starts. Where we had a look at that Green Lane campus video, so anything that largely falls under that construction umbrella, generally speaking, is a September start. But we do have programs that are really popular that we might run again through, say, January and February. There are plenty of programs like business admin or perhaps digital marketing that run throughout the academic year. So if you, for example, were to finish up your GCSEs this year and decide that you want to enroll into a full-time college course, do a term and then think, actually, this isn't for me, I would like to swap to an apprenticeship program. Don't think that you've missed the boat. Okay, come and talk to us and we can look at what apprenticeship programs are still running, so that we can look at that as a changeover for you. Now, this is the department that I sit within. So we're in an office called the Job Shop. The Job Shop comprises of a number of different pockets of teams. So you've got us as a sales and recruitment team, so where we're engaging with you as prospective students, but also potential employers for you to go out to work and do your apprenticeship placements within. But we also have our designated advice and guidance team, and we also have our work experience team that we sit with. So if there are any conversations that you're looking to have or questions that you've got about employment, apprenticeship training, or if you just want, we've had lots of students visiting us recently that are looking at their UCAS applications. So the guidance team are really supporting on those applications. This is where you would find us in the college. So you can always come and see us face to face. There's always staff available within the college. Now, we've put these open days on here for you just to make sure that you know you can come and visit us. So if some of you have got ideas about potentially joining us as a full-time college student or potentially joining us as an apprentice, the staff attending these open days are experts in their field. So where we looked at the provision that we offer earlier, I am not qualified to deliver any of those. I'm not a tutor. They're not my area of expertise. I'm that frontline recruitment advice, guidance in support of your application. The people that would deliver the training to you man these sessions. So they will be at designated stations where you can go and talk to them and ask them more specifically about what you would be doing day to day, about how the lessons are structured, about how they are assessed and examined, to see that it suits you. So we've got that date in March, and we've got that date in June. So if you're finishing school at 3:30, 4-ish, please do feel free to come down and see us and have those conversations with us. Have a look at what the college is like, see if this is an environment that you could see yourself within as well as part of that teaching day. It's a really good opportunity just for you to get eyes on and see what you think. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation. I'm just going to stop sharing. And then we'll have a look to see, hopefully, she says stop sharing. Let me just come back to you. There we go. So any questions at all, or anything in the chat box?
Hi, it's Nadia. We've had about 3 questions come through on the chat box. If you won't mind going through those, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's open this chat up. Let's have a look. So, Mr. Altree, good morning. So, not everyone who wants an apprenticeship will be apprenticeship ready, or college or potential apprentice will not be able to find the work placement part of the programme. Okay, can you say more about the support given to these people? Are they directed to traineeships and full-time college courses? Okay, so the preparation as part of any interview with me, as we've mentioned, is we're looking at content and delivery of an interview. If somebody is not meeting criteria with regard to English and maths, we support with that. So if an apprenticeship is simply not an option because the entry criteria is not met, we would look at what potential college courses are available that might map over more seamlessly to an apprenticeship once we've then completed functional skills as part of that college programme. Any 16 to 18, I believe, cannot just do functional skills with us. They have to be on a full-time course. So if we use, for example, if we use health, because they're the areas that I recruit for. So if we say pharmacy or dental, we might suggest that a science program would develop some relevant and transferable skills. So we would redirect towards the science program with a view to upskilling English and maths with that, and then coming back to us for an apprenticeship program. In terms of individuals securing their own work placements, agreed, it's a really challenging market. It's why that we've gone through that note about if somebody is employed already, approaching management within those businesses to see if apprenticeship opportunities are available. If that's not the case, we've got our designated sales team who engage with businesses locally. So I've mentioned some of the geographical areas that we would go to. And we will establish with those businesses whether there is a need for an apprentice for them. So we have on the Warsaw College website a list of all of our current vacancies. That's obviously ever changing as we go through applications and fill those posts. But we've got vacancies that if somebody wants to apply for, we then would link them in with those employers with a view to going out and getting interviews. Okay, so Naj, that's just your response on that. Can you please advise what is the age limit for this programme? Okay, so you simply have to be 16 and over. So if you are all Year 11 students at the moment, I believe it's the last Friday in June that you will be eligible to start an apprenticeship. The summer, we appreciate, is a particularly busy time for Year 11 students with all of your exam prep. So if you are looking at apprenticeships, it's trying to just work out when you feel that you can get applications in and start to attend interviews. But last Friday in June, 16 and over, there is no upper age cap to apprenticeships. The only point I suppose just worth noting is that if you are a mature student, the rates of pay don't change. So the 481, soon to be 528, is applicable to any person of any age on any apprenticeship standard for the first 12 months. Beyond that 12 months, you're then paid national minimum wage, which would be based on your age at that time. So you would be paid a higher rate at that point. But you've got to make sure that that first 12 months is financially viable for you on those minimum rates. Shadi, you've put, if I want account is okay. I'm not quite sure what that means. Shadi, do you want to just take your mic off and elaborate on that for me?
Asking about have any accounting apprenticeship if I want to go to the apprenticeship accounting.
Okay, yep. So we do have, I think it's level 3 vacancies at the moment that my colleagues are working on. So again, if it's Warsaw College specifically, we can redirect you either to the website, or if you were to contact the job shop. So the number listed when I share this presentation, the number that's listed on the job shop slide, if you ask to speak to a member of the team, you can speak to either the sales executive or the recruitment officer that is working specifically on those vacancies to talk to you about your application and your current circumstances, and then try and link you into some of the vacancies that we've got available.
Yeah, it's just only I have a bookkeeping level 2 in this country.
Yeah,
level
so
1, sorry.
We'd need to have a look at your application specifically, so we'd do that with you outside of this call.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Emma, there's a couple more questions. If you scroll to the top, there's one from Marina.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I've missed a few. Let's have a look. Marina, I want to find out if an apprenticeship suits me. I'll graduate this year with a bachelor's in business. Project management is my field of interest, but because I have not got work experience in the field, I'm looking for an apprenticeship. Okay. We would need to have a look at eligibility for you. So the reason I say that is that apprenticeships used to be in that if you had a higher level of study to the apprenticeship that you're applying for, you simply weren't eligible. The funding rules changed on that a few years back, and they said you can be qualified to a higher level as long as it's in a different field. Now, we'd need to look at what the crossover is with business management and project management to understand if there is an impact on that for you. I would need to ask that question. I don't have a definitive on that for you this morning. Because you've not got experience, that's fine. So it's not a prerequisite of any apprenticeship for you to have at levels, certainly at levels 2 and 3, for you to have experience in the field that you are applying to. It's certainly a benefit to an application, but it's not a necessity. Again, we would need to understand if this is something that we would have provision for, or if the sales team would need to signpost you to potentially looking with other providers based on what their provision is. My understanding at the moment is that we haven't got anything with the college that is project management based, but we can certainly ask that question for you, Marina. If you are, again, I would probably suggest reach out to us. So use the job shop number that's on that slide with the yellow screen, and ask to speak to a specific member of the team about project management, and we can support from there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anselm, I'm free web designer but currently in Nigeria. How can I get into this program? Okay, so this is a more difficult one. So it would be visa dependent. The general rule of thumb is that to be eligible for an apprenticeship, you've got to have been living in the UK or EU for 3 years or more. So unless you have allowances on your visa, or if there are special terms that are mentioned on your visa, my suspicion at this stage, Anselm, is that you would not currently be eligible, unfortunately.
I think that might
Okay,
be.
I think
the last
that's
one.
it. I'm just scrolling through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for listing the job shop number in there as well, Naj.
Oh, that's no problem. I think Shadi has got her. She's put her hand up.
Is your hand up still, Shadi, or is that from the last conversation?
No, it's okay now. I
Yeah.
got answer.
No problem. That's okay. Any other
When we
questions
do,
at
what
all?
we do, story next step. What we
So
do next
next
step.
steps, I think for yourself, Shadi, because you've got a specific question, if you use the number that Naja's put into the chat box and ask to speak to a member of the team specifically about the accounting apprenticeships, and we can direct your call from there. So that would be the next steps for yourselves. As a broader next step for everybody, what I would suggest is that you have a look at, if you are considering apprenticeships, you have a look on gov.uk and on the Walsall College website to look at what vacancies are available, what opportunities are currently available. It's reading up on job descriptions so that you can understand what those roles entail. And then if you are looking to place applications, making sure an application is as detailed as it possibly can be. We don't know you, so we are really reliant on what you put on paper for us in terms of existing qualifications across all subject areas, prior experience, transferable skills, a little bit about you and your qualities. It's very competitive. There isn't a way for me to really sugarcoat that. It's a really competitive market, so your CV has to include the information that we need to make a judgment on whether that criteria is met in the first instance. So please do make sure that you're giving kind of due time and consideration to any application that you're putting forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else at all? Okay, I think that's it then. So thank you again for joining this morning. We will look to share presentations as promptly as possible. If there are questions, Naj has listed the job shop number and the job shop email in the chat. So please do feel free to reach out to us, and we can then look to address questions on a more specific basis for you based on your inquiry.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day, everybody. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.